The cloud. All righty. Tech is on our side this morning. All right, so welcome. And please feel free to arrange yourself in your own space in whatever way is going to be supportive for you. I do see that the closed captioning goes right over the top of people's faces, though, in my view there. All right, technical adjustments. So what if I cover? Yes, and all of this gobbledygook I'm saying will also be in the recording, and that will just inspire somebody to help me with tech in the future, right? Okay. All right, so now I can't see myself, but I can see you, and that's good for me. I'm trying to make this an accessible program, so anything that is useful in terms of accessibility for you, please let me know, or if there's anyone that you think might want to join, that it would be useful for them. So please, I'm open for feedback on that. But I'll start today with a little bit about myself and how I'm showing up today. And as I do that, last week we were doing these bilateral movements. So I'm going to do a little bit of that to bring myself into this space. You can do this on the arms or use them on their opposite legs. And if you wish, you can continue to do that while I'm speaking. I'm going to shake it out a little bit here. So I'm a Buddhist monastic, and I'm in the Theravada tradition, and I use they, them pronouns. Visual description of myself is that I have the longest hair that I ever have. Right about now, it's maybe 3/4 of a centimeter. I have no discernible facial hair, wearing glasses. I'm a white-bodied monastic wearing monastic robes, kind of a burnt sienna color. But when I can't see myself, I can't see if I'm in the screen. Yep. I'm about 5'7", amply padded, and I have a wonderful exercise ball that doesn't quite get on the screen. And I'm sitting in the main room at Pasadi Vihara. What I'm going to share today, I've learned from movement and communication, embodiment, somatic, peacekeeping, and transformative and restorative justice leaders, as well as other monastics and meditation teachers. And this work I've done with others has transformed my practice in my meditation, in my suttas, in my interpersonal. And I just want to give a shout out to Lisa, who's here with us today. I think Lisa's, I'm going to plug Lisa here. I think Lisa's going to be starting a class in August, that a new session of it that August or September? August, okay. So her website is in the resource list that I've been sending out. I would highly recommend that course. Very, very helpful for dealing with people, including ourselves. And I'll cite some other people as we go today. The initial thing that I talked about this, gosh, that's helpful. Bilateral arm sweeping. I learned that from Enchem and Defo. I've seen it in many people's works, though. You can find more about Enchem at the Lumos Transforms community. I do want to say that I'm a monastic and I do not have any licensure as a psychotherapist or medical professional. So this program is not a substitute for therapy or medical care. If you need that support for trauma recovery or other physical or mental health, please contact an actual professional. And if you wish, you can put your pronouns in your name. No need to, or your location, anything brief that you would like people to know. I think I mentioned, okay, so it is being recorded and that will go out. What I figured out was how to start a YouTube channel. so it's off of neonica.org is the YouTube channel, and that's where last week's session went. And this one will go, and the other 3 in this series once those are done. You can also get to it from the Pasadi Vihara YouTube under outside teaching or other teachings. Just scroll around or maybe type the word somatic in. Probably be the only thing that comes up in that case. Around the top of the hour, we'll stop the recording and we can just have a discussion. But anytime during this, please pop in with your experience, your questions, your humor, your comments, anything that's emerging, kind of relevant to the theme we're tackling today, which is going deep end disputes. So please feel free to bring in anything during it along those lines. So just coming into the space together. Last week, as I said, I was in a car accident the day before the class last time, and I definitely had this stiffness. And I noticed that for me, doing the embodiment practices of the class was really helpful. So whether or not you get anything out of it, I know I am. And I thank you for being here even just to witness that. But I do hope that this is going to be a communal experience of exploration. So let's start with, you can have the physical touch and then settle. And we'll do a body sweep together before we address the difficult. See how the word difficult impacts me. So I'm going to turn to the word soft. And I'm going to use that word soft as I scan down, just aware of the top of my head, observing it softly, noticing what's soft there already, what might be tight, just observing. We'll go a little faster than we did last week. Down through the head, stopping at the ears, the nose, the sinuses, into the mouth cavity, the tongue, neck, throat, tops of the shoulders, observing with softness, noticing softness, noticing tension, noticing whatever's present. Both arms in their totality are sweeping down from the shoulders to the elbows, to the wrists, to the hand, to the fingers. Back up to the top of the torso, down through the whole of the torso, front, back, sides, middle, down to the belly, the hips, pelvic floor, soften, notice. And both legs, experiencing both legs, observing softly both legs. In their totality or down to the knees, calves, ankles, feet, and toes. And if you're not too relaxed and you've had your eyes closed, you're welcome to open them. And notice if your gaze can also be that kind of soft, inviting, welcoming, holding gently. So before we jump in, are there any comments or questions or a little more that you'd like to do in regards to this softening? Do people feel generally resourced enough for now to play with conflict? I tried to say the word softly, but did you feel any response when I said the word conflict? I noticed one head pull back a little bit. Maybe that was just drinking, but yeah, these words, argument, discussion. See, discussion's a neutral word, but I put a little tone in it. Discussion, discussion. Let's have a discussion. Okay. So as we're exploring these things, notice if there is anything that occurs in the body, and please stop me if you want to make a comment, or and I am going to stop myself because I am completely distracted by changing my view and now having the closed captioning occlude half of Kat's face. How do I make? Okay, I got you to jump, all of your images jump to the top, but they're tiny. There's got to be a way to, I know when I'm the participant, I can change people's, how big they are. Huh? If I do that, it jumps to somebody else's face. Sorry about that.
Does it let you do like a gallery?
Kat, do you have advice?
Does it let you do a gallery view?
The tech world. Okay, well, knowing that to me, you are on a laptop about this big, I'm not going to necessarily be able to react to the reactions that I'm seeing because you're about this big. So this is definitely an invitation to raise a hand or speak it out for anything that's occurring for you. And if you do not want your video on the recording, then you can just turn your camera off. If you don't want your voice on the recording, you can put a virtual hand up or just say, please stop the recording. I will pause it. I want to make sure that it is actually even recording. How do I, sorry about the whole tech thing here. I'm noticing that the getting whiplash is okay, it says pause, stop recording, so that must mean it is being recorded. Excellent. All right. Okay, so now if we haven't completely undone that sense, and welcome, Kama. Susan, it's good to have you here. We can resettle. And then I'm going to talk about, or we'll talk together about, going back to what we did last week of balance. If you wish, you can stand, or you can do this from a seated or even a lying down position. You can get off balance lying down. I've done it. And when we're in this balanced state, if I were having an argument with the squirrel outside the window, you know, the squirrel who's coming, I haven't fed them this morning and they're upset, and that squirrel comes running at the window, what happens in me might be I get off balance. It might be that's a big squirrel, I might be bowled over by their comments, or I'm thrown, I'm going to fight back. What are the terms? I put some of them in our notes. What are the terms that you know from our society when we're in dispute? What is happening? I just gave a few. Anyone want to throw some words in? What happens? What happens when I come up and I'm in your face?
Fight or flight.
Nicole.
The fight or flight response.
Oh, I'm so sorry. If anyone's been talking, I have had my sound off. Nicole, would you please start again?
The fight or flight response.
Fight or flight. Okay, so that's kind of like a cognitive labeling. What would a phrase for fight be? Maybe fly off the handle. What would a flea phrase be?
A shrinking.
Shrinking. I shrink. There are a lot of these. Lisa?
Pulling back.
Pulling back. Yeah, last week we talked about something very neutral sounding. I'm not going to have this argument with you. But what does it actually feel like? I'm not going to have this argument with you. Or the opposite, I'm not going to have this argument with you. In which case, that's the more I'm in your face. Caught up. So what does this feel like? Let's just take one. Pulling back, shrinking. I'm a squirrel and I want you to feed me. What does that feel like? Do you have that sense of balance still? So if you wish, you can, find your balance, and then just imagine this horde of hungry squirrels. Feed me, feed me, feed me, feed me. Am I the only one that's ever been attacked by a horde of hungry squirrels? Maybe so. Maybe so.
I get attacked by a pair of hungry cats every morning, and that one it brings up annoyance. But with pulling back, there's definitely like a curving in of the shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm. A curving in of the shoulders. What is the annoyance? So yeah, I've had cats too. And I've tried to tell my cats that it's time to meditate. And I am not going to be annoyed because there's a wonderful visitor coming to the door. So I'm going to answer the door and I'm going to try and keep my balance. So you'll hear the audio. Oh, hello.
Yeah, how are you?
Welcome. I'm doing a class right now.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I just went, I'm sorry I didn't call.
No problem.
I wanted the Trader Joe's.
Oh, you want the gift card?
I'm
Fantastic.
so sorry. I
No.
really didn't know if I should come.
Please come on in. Come on in. We're on recording audio. If that's a problem, I can cut it off, but we're just actually looking at how we have discussions and whatnot. So
Oh my God.
so you're perfect. Thank you. Thank you for the perfect timing. It's actually in another container.
I'm not in a hurry, so.
Okay. So as you're waiting, notice this is not how a class is supposed to go. Yeah. Yeah. And I definitely have that sense of feeling like, what do we call it? Here's another one, off my game. All right. So Eileen, thank you. Here is a collection of more than you need. Bring back the numbers. Okay, so. Okay, thank you. So, all right, so this is what happens when we have an interruption. Anyone have any sense or comments about how that feels? This is my class. How dare somebody come to the door? Kama.
A chance for patience. I mean, yeah,
And
an opportunity.
how did you do the patience?
I know what patience feels like, so
if you were to teach
feel
me,
teach you how to be patient or
please,
what it feels like.
please.
Well, my thoughts are part of it, and how I feel in my body. So what am I telling myself? Um, well, one thing I say, this happens, this is normal to have interruptions.
Yeah.
It's normal. And I have them too. Everyone has them. And it's not a problem, you know?
So,
And so that continues my equanimity. And that feels good.
and that feels good.
And patience feels good too. So I'm not in a hurry. What am I in a hurry for? To get where?
Mhm.
Being in this moment is feels good. So I don't, does that help at all?
It
Does
starts,
that?
yeah, it definitely starts to, because you're at least enticing me that patience feels good. And I'm imagining that there was something when I know for myself that when I need to bring one of my tools like patience in, it's usually because I've, fallen a little bit, and it can be very small, or I've shrunk a little bit, or I've bristled a little bit. And so what we notice is this initial bristling. And then from that, we can bring in the wisdom of, oh, in the past, I've practiced patience and my heart felt better, my body state felt better. The sutta, one of the suttas this week was a really good example of the Buddha was sitting in meditation, and this guy, Dandapani, Dandapani. Dandapani, it means with stick in hand. That's what the name means. And it was probably a nickname, but he probably rightly got that nickname because he went around with a stick, which was considered a weapon at that time. So not just a walking stick, although he did lean on it. And so the Buddha's meditating, and up comes this guy with a stick in his hand and says, hey, basically, I'll paraphrase, hey, you Buddha, well, not even Buddha, hey, you, Mr. Sakyan man, you tell me what it is that you teach. Okay, so if you weren't the enlightened Buddha and you were sitting here and someone came up to say, hey, what's your deal? Would everyone here be totally able to do what Kamo was talking about and just be patient and balanced? And no, head shake, no. I wouldn't. I haven't been. I might come to it quickly. And I think that's what our practice helps us do, is to come to it quickly. But initially, there's some signal in my body that I want to pull away. Don't you see I'm meditating? Or I want to counter, stop bothering me, or my people pleasing side, sure, interrupt me, whatever you want. But in any case, I don't know if you could see, I am wobbling on my ball. And from that, I need to recenter. I'm imagining that the Buddha never really left his centered seat. And his response to Dandapani was, Venerable Sir. And then he gave a response as to what it was. And his teaching was, my teaching is such not to conflict with anyone in the world. Has anyone achieved that? No, this is different than, okay, I'm seeing some head shakes. This is different than conflict avoidance, just to let you know, because in those of us who are conflict avoidant, there's still a little bit of a storm usually going on inside. So this is where we can learn from the Buddha and what he was doing. He didn't respond with that kind of negative direction, he responded with Venerable Sir. So if you want, try and have your balance. And then imagine, I don't know if you can hear the door to my left opening and the water running, but imagine someone has come in and is disturbing, not necessarily your internal world, but disturbing your current activity. So they're derailing. It's another term we can use. I was derailed. Can you turn to that person in your imagination? And maybe Venerable Sir is not appropriate, but how about, I love this one, dear one, or my dear. Ah, my dear. Darling. Darling. I was very junior, and I was working with a senior bhikkhuni who had a broken arm, and so I was trying to clip her fingernails for her, but she cried out in pain, and it actually came out my mouth because I was so in the habit of, in my mind, calling her sweetheart, which probably in the hierarchy of things you wouldn't call your teacher sweetheart, but it was how I helped keep myself like in this relationship. But when she cried out, I went, oh, sweetheart. And actually it was a very endearing moment. So even if you accidentally call your boss sweetheart, if it's done with the right body emotional tone, they might take it as a slip that's kind and appropriate. So don't worry about if your language, venerable, dear, sweetheart, beloved. So the next time the squirrels attack, beloved, cat.
Wasn't it Pia from last week?
Yes, thank you. I love that word. So the word in Pali is Pia, and it means beloved. It means dear one. And last week we were talking about applying that to ourselves. Pia, dear one. And that's the space with which the Buddha was able to respond to Dandapani. And that's the space we can respond to the squirrels in our lives. Okay. So the sense of balance, what happens with the other person if we are in this state of equanimity and balance and non-conflict? Well, in the case of the sutta, it said that Dandapani, I have to read this part, Dandapani shook his head, wagged his tongue, raised his eyebrows, and leaned on his staff and left. So he didn't stick around because he actually really wasn't in it for resolving the discussion. Next week we'll talk about opinions and views and ways to actually negotiate. This week it's just like, what do you do when an argument is starting or there's a dispute to be had or not had? And so the response from this individual was to shake his head, wag tongue. I don't know if I can do it now. It literally, the translation would be to give the raspberry, would be the from the Pali to the English would be a sound. It's not a very practiced thing for me. So, but next time you're in that space of an argument and you want to be responsive, try it on. What is it like to just I would say you kind of just discredited yourself there. Would people agree with that? And likewise, when the Buddha then went back to the monastics to say, well, this is what happened, that's the end of Dandapani's story. He doesn't appear again. There is no resolution, but there's also no residue in that environment. So sometimes in some situations, the conflict that is around us in the world, they aren't squirrels that are easily fed. No. And sometimes, but the walk away, what if, we could play with that. What if, okay, I've gotten the information, I realize I really don't want to engage. I actually do have animals out in the yard, so no, I don't want to engage. All right, this isn't the time. Thank you. No. The departure from the discussion, the distress, the conflict can be done with that same balance that we talked about last week. Let's just go back to that balancing. Let's do the breathing exercise. Paul Linden calls this the 6 directions breathing. When Fiona May was on last week, that's what she was calling it. But for me, I think of it more as, starting with the directions to be very expansive. So let's take this opportunity to just be in the body. Notice we're breathing. Soften the belly. Let the belly just hang. Like there's just gravity holding, pulling, softening. Let the pull be down, but there's no pressure. The same thing, the bottom of our lungs. Let that part between the ribs just soften down. Let the tongue hang loose in the mouth. And the shoulders, soft. And then aware of the breath. Let our attention ride the breath. In and out, kind of a sense of up and down, in and out. And then maybe on the out breath, or I often don't associate it directly with the breath. I just know I'm breathing. I send my attention down. Awareness is down. What I'm sitting on or standing or in contact with the body. Awareness is down below the structure of my body. And it may move out again on the in-breath and then down. And then the in-breath fills us and the attention can go up. Notice if this makes you aware of anything in the body or more aware of the body. And then we'll do down and up, the awareness, opening, expanding on the in-breath. Awareness is down and up. And from this state, coming back into the expanding on the in-breath, maybe letting the heart guide your awareness to the front. So if you're looking at your screens, you can send it to me. Awareness to the front. Your eyes might be open. Notice if that sent your balance forward a little bit, so then bring it back centered. On the in-breath, expansive. On the out-breath, attention is forward. And we'll balance that out with in-breath, and then on the out-breath, attention is behind us. We're just aware. We don't need to look, just to feel that there is space behind us, or if we're sitting against a chair, there's pressure behind us. And then both to the front and to the back. And then we can try expanding to the sides. You can do both sides at once. Awareness is on the in-breath, expansive, and then the attention, like there's space in the room to my left, to my right. And then finally, there's this expansiveness, and then the attention goes in all directions. It's kind of like a breathing. The breath fills the physical body. On the out breath, the awareness is in all directions. Okay, now reimagine that you are the Buddha sitting, and you open your eyes, you hear something, and there's someone approaching with a stick. Looks like they're ready for an argument. I'm curious, does that shift or change anything in the way your heart feels, the way this area, or your jaw, your forehead, any other part? Do you feel a difference as you imagine, or the squirrels coming, feed me, feed me?
There's a bit of a tightening.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was really thinking of like grounding, but there's still like there's still some tightening too.
Yeah, yeah. Any particular spot for you?
I think in my jaw was where I think it's easy for me to clench my teeth and not realize I'm doing it. So, that was the biggest spot, but because I was really trying to think about grounding, like about staying grounded, but at the same time, I didn't realize other things were tightening too. So,
Well, can we test how effective that is?
sure.
So I'm going to be the squirrel. Feed me, feed me, feed me, and tighten your jaw. Cat, feed me, feed me, feed me, feed me. Is it helpful? Is the jaw helpful? Does it?
Also,
Okay.
I don't know. I like tightening it to feel it like, then I at least know what that feels like. So then if I'm doing it in small amounts, although I don't feel like I tend to tighten my jaw to the utmost, like I just was. And I was like, oh, this is really uncomfortable. But
Exactly.
I think small amounts probably creep in anyway.
Yes, yes, but sometimes doing the big motion will make me more aware of the subtler.
Yeah.
And so then really try to soften the tongue, try to soften the jaw. Take a breath, let the shoulders just drape, a nice gentle curve in the neck. And feed me, feed me, feed me. Did that have a different?
it's better that time. I think because although Lord knows what else I'm probably tightening up, not that I'm focusing on the
One
jaw.
body part at a time. One body part at
It's
a time.
really migrated somewhere else, but
Yeah. Well, like I was sharing last week, it really literally took me a year, and I'm not perfect even now, to stop a habitual tightening of my tongue.
Mm,
I didn't realize how much of my life was with the tongue just in various tightens.
mm.
It took a good 2 months before I was even fully aware of the ways that I would tighten it. And then it took another 10 to stop doing it in a habitual way. So, I mean, I call this Dhamma first aid because the things that we've been doing, conditioned for at least this lifetime, are going to take a while. And so many people go to the cushion or they have an interaction with a squirrel and they're like, why wasn't I better? I've read all those suttas. I meditate, because we've been conditioning it the other way for a very, very long time. So the world that we're in is raising continual quarrels and disturbances and things. I had one on the street at the bus stop the other day, and it was one of those things that what the person said to me actually did touch a spot in me. You know, they're a neighbor, and they wanted us to help them physically to clean up their space. And we knew that in our current environment and situation that that was not a level of help that we had the capacity to give. And so the verbal attack of you didn't help me, it struck in me, this spot. And that was a spot where, gosh, it would be easy to say, well, the rules for a monastic and the way that we're allowed to support, I'm really sorry, but we could help you connect with somebody who could help you. And, that is a typical patterning for me of ouch, not being expressed, and let me fix the problem. And part of that is so that I look better. Just going to be real here. This is one that came up this week. And what I was able to do was go, oh, I want to think about that some more. This is internal. I want to think about that some more. But I realized that the tiny little hurt that I was feeling, her complete upset that she was in, was ever so much more. And so it was like, oh, wow, the situation you're in is really tough right now. Just acknowledging it's, and she's just pissed, yeah, it's tough and nobody will help me. So then back in my body, and unfortunately the bus is also coming, so I'm distracted because I need to get on that bus. And so I said, I need to get on this bus. Do you need this bus too? So to make sure that it wasn't, and now I'm running away from you. And she did in fact need the bus, but she also had spoken what she needed to say, and she didn't want to continue the discussion. And she says, yes, but I'm good. And sometimes that's all that you can do. Sometimes it's all you can do. You walk away, you follow up when you can, but you don't just keep engaging. So, I didn't call her Venerable Sir, but I did look at her and I did like mentally hold her with the, I see you, I do care, and what you're going through is rough. And then I had later to attend to that spot in me of like, I do have these rules is there something I could have done, a reality check for myself. And the way that I resolved it in myself is one thing in this situation, it might be different in another, so details aren't necessary. Do these things come up for you? These micro moments of disharmony. Yeah, I think they do. Yeah. And then that, going back to what we were doing last week, I care about this life, Pia, dear one. So that the response I'm giving to that other person who is in distress is from that grounded, centered, spacious place. Nicole, is that a comment, or are you just taking care of your, yeah?
This is the morning assaulter.
Oh, I see, because like I said, the window is so tiny on my screen that the micro assaulter is the kitty cat.
Yeah, he's normally the scared one, so he doesn't see people, but people do see him on Zoom.
Oh,
So yeah, as he's walking across the window thinking what you said, dear one or darling, yeah, that changes it.
yeah, it does. You don't say disturbance. You've entered my Zoom space. You say, dear one, here we are, or the person who comes to the door. So I'd like to just, I feel like myself, I'm a little bit, I acknowledge I'm a little muddled this week just because of the amount of activity, the headache from the car crash. And so I'm doing that too. It's like, okay, dear one, this is how you are able to show up right now. It's like this. This is how you're able to show up right now. I wanted to honor this program and be here just the best I could today. And that's all I'm expecting from the people who come here too. I didn't mention it at the beginning like I did last week. If there's any point at which you just need to take a break or, okay, I'm done for the day, that's good. That's good. Please go back to week 1, which is every week. Pia, dear one. Thank you, Kat, for reminding us of that word. So we're still on the recording part, but if there's anything that anyone would like to bring in or suggestions for, next week, we're going to go to the underlying opinions that might bring us to that point where the cat or the squirrel or the human is there's something that's creating that sense of differing, my opinion, your opinion, my view. So in the heading in that direction, if there's anything that anyone wants to bring in between, noticing conflict and holding an opinion. All right, well then, just in closing, I think that, take it slow. We talked about the finding all of the quote 6 directions, or the fullness of the expanded heart is not something that we do just once and done. I remember saying, in a body scan, I could never find my low back. And that was true for years. It takes time to discover even what's going on. And then it takes time to begin to shift. And then we will have these moments of, disputing against what I think reality should be. That will just throw us right completely off. Now, I am not saying that, once enlightened, there will be no whiplash when I'm in a car accident. Because even the Buddha had a body, and he would, as it was in the case of the sutta, which will continue with the same sutta a little bit next week, after he had relayed to the monastics, this is what happened this morning, and this is what I meant by it in brief, he also said, and now my back hurts, I'm going to go lay down. So please don't try to think that your experience is going to be any different than the Buddha's in regards to having a body and the body doing what bodies do. So maybe that's enough for this week. I'm going to stop the recording part so that I don't have to learn how to trim it quite yet. Recording.